Hey guys, welcome back to another video on the Inside Spurs channel. Hope well, hope we're looking after ourselves on this gloomy, miserable, rainy Thursday. Miserable and gloomy are two words that I'd probably use to sum up the last, 24 hours with Spurs. It goes from bad to worse, and worse to awful, and awful to abysmal. We'll be talking a little bit about the Milan game last night and sort of the fallout from that game, and really kind of where we go from here. So let's start on the Milan game. The two legs, I think, were appalling. I think Harry Kane summed it up and said, I think if you look at the two legs, we'd never deserve to go through. And that's probably the nicest way to sum it up. I think we were never in the first leg. You know, we actually had a lot of the ball. You know, our players actually played quite well, but we created nothing. That would probably be the same thing to say about the second leg. We had the ball quite a bit in good positions and we created nothing. It was a terrible game. The only one that can really come out of that game with any credibility is probably Pedro Porro from coming on, and actually he looked lively. He was getting about and actually caused Milan a few issues. They clearly realised, look, this guy can whip a ball in. We need to press him at all times. I think if we go player by player, look, Fraser Forster, I'm not going to sit there and slag off, if I'm honest. It's not his fault. This has all happened. He made an unbelievable double save, which they then scored because our defenders weren't aware that they could score from a header from 1 yard out in the first leg, and in the second leg actually did make a few saves. So maybe, he's one that probably shouldn't hang his head. Romero, absolutely 100%. You can sit there and say definitely cost us the game. As soon as he was sent off, the game was over. That was it. There was no chance of us coming back. It really was over. Longley and Davies, I'm not going to sit there and say they were bad. They just didn't do anything, you know. The amount of times those guys would have the ball, and I just feel like they're quite slow getting out to the wing, or they're quite slow getting it through the middle, you know. And the same thing about Romero. Romero is very slow on the ball. He slows everything down. And he plays like an absolute Italian centre-half for an Argentinian, that he will slow everything down, and it's killing the momentum of a team, you know. I don't mind going backwards to Romero for us to move the ball to the other side of the pitch quickly, but instead, Romero gets the ball, takes a touch, walks forward a few yards with it, and then plays it sideways. We've wasted 10 to 15 seconds just on that alone. Perisic, non-existent again, hasn't been good for a while now for Spurs, if I'm honest. It really has been poor. I thought Emerson was solid, defensively solid. I think locked up Leao really nicely. I thought, it was actually pretty decent with the ball, got forward really, really well. Obviously, he went off injured, which is a slight problem there. I say injured, but you could tell he was struggling a lot. In terms of the midfield too, Skip and Højbjerg just never seem to look up and want to pass forward into Kane or Son or into Kulusevski. It's always very much, let's not lose the ball. Let's not lose the ball. I don't want the fans to boo me. I don't want anyone to say that I'm not good enough. I'm just going to pass it sideways and make sure my pass completion is really high and really good. The amount of times a little dink between these two defenders would set someone off free, we never did it. We just never did it. And as much as I like Skip, he's good with a challenge and things like that. He gets caught out of position quite a bit and just doesn't look forward enough, in my opinion. Højbjerg, absolutely the same. Was really hoping that Højbjerg would give us one of those sort of solid performances, and just didn't. Just didn't really. You know, he won a few tackles, but not really took the game by the neck and really dominated the midfield. Actually, we were never really dominating that midfield. The front three, simple as that. I think the worst player on the pitch was Kulusevski. I don't think he's been good enough for a while now. Every single ball was overhit. He was not running past Teo Hernandez, who's not very good defensively. Wasn't running past him, wasn't beating him, kept falling over a lot, was appalling. And I'm trying to be nice with that, but was appalling that game. The fact that he wasn't subbed at half-time for Danjuma still makes me confused. We bring a player in Danjuma's quality who was in the Champions League team of the season last year, and he doesn't get minutes. Doesn't get minutes against Sheffield United, wouldn't get minutes against Wolves, doesn't get minutes against Milan. He must be thinking, I should have gone to Everton. At least I would bloody play. Son looked lively to start the game, but he just looks like he's lost a yard of pace. He looks tired. He just doesn't, he's not right. He's not been right all season. Hasn't been good enough all season. Hence, you have a Danjuma, you have a Richarlison. Let them have a run of games in the team. Because it sure as hell can't be any worse than those two at the moment, because those two are offering absolutely nothing. And Kane was absolutely starved of any kind of service. The only kind of service he had was when Pedro Porro came on, which is ironic, you know. So, it was appalling. I mean, I'm not really going to talk about the subs coming on. They didn't really do a lot, but again, they didn't really have a lot of time to do. The substitution for Kulusevski coming off Davinson Sanchez, I did actually tweet something that said that, he can't be much worse than Kulusevski. But he shouldn't have been subbed for Kulusevski, shouldn't have been subbed for Sanchez. He should have been subbed for Danjuma, Mora. He should have been subbed for someone that gives some form of attacking threat. Because he was wasting every single opportunity he had. He just was flat out poor yesterday. So where do we go from here? So the witch hunt is fully in full gear. Conte, he's not good enough. The players don't want him. The fans don't want him. The board don't want him. He doesn't want to be there. He joked about, maybe I'm not here at the end of the season. Maybe they sacked me before. He's already made those comments. He's already sort of started to say this could potentially happen. FYI, for compensation sake, they said that it'd probably be about 5 million to sack him. So that's not going to happen because we're not paying 5 million. We barely want to sump up any money for anything to do with the first team squad unless it's a go-kart track. So that's not going to happen probably. I like Conte. I still think he's a world-class manager. I think it's run its course though, if I'm honest. I'm not going to sit there and say I'm Conte out. I'm not one of those fans who are deluded beyond sense by saying it's all Conte's fault. It's Conte's fault. It's Conte's fault. But forgetting that the common denominator for the last 15 years of us not winning something was Daniel Levy and Enick. Mourinho had an opportunity to win something. He was in a final and was sacked the week of the final. So you can't tell me Mourinho was a failure. He didn't even have a chance. He was in a final. He had the opportunity and they didn't give him that chance. They gave it to Ryan Mason, who had managed about 3 minutes of football. So you can see the common denominator. Now, looking forward and looking ahead, it does look like Conte is going to be going. So I just want to talk about sort of the list that's come out today from Jack Pitbrook and The Athletic, talking about the list of managers that are kind of on there that Spurs are interested in. I'm not saying they're going to go for anyone in particular, but they're interested in. There's a long list. I'm not going to go through all of them because I want to enjoy my evening tonight and I actually want to relax and not think about Tottenham for once. But to go on the list, the top of the list is the guy I've wanted, the guy, we should all want because he's the guy that really is the most born-again winner. He also is a guy that plays unbelievable football and he's also the guy that, would absolutely connect with the fans. So, that's Luis Enrique. Luis Enrique, former Barcelona manager and former Spain manager. Plays beautiful football, gets attacking threats out of every player on the pitch, really utilises the squad really well. The only thing is, does like to spend money. Will Levy like that? The reason why he's top of the list, I think, is clear to see. You look at the resume, it's clear to see he is the best manager, other than Zinedine Zidane, that's on the market that you could get, that's available, right? Do I think we get him? I actually don't. I really don't. I don't see how Luis Enrique looks at the Spurs job and goes, that's enticing. That's really what I want. No. It just isn't for me. I think I'm not going to be one of those people who goes, Kane's gone, bye Kane. Oh, he's absolutely gone, blah, 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 blah. I don't like to think like that. But there's also that possibility and we have to be open to the idea that he could be gone in the summer. He's only got 12 months left on his contract. And apparently coming out today from the Daily Mail, he's not going to be speaking about the new contract until the summer. So we'll have to wait and see on the summer front. Yeah, Luis Enrique is my shout, but to kind of go through the other names, there are other names on there, but there's an interesting situation with Paratici, and I'm going to go into two layers into it. But the other names sort of on the list, you have Roberto De Zerbi from Brighton. You also have people like Thomas Frank, Luciano Spalletti. You have Steve Cooper from Forest. But yes, you do have the elephant in the room, Maurizio Pochettino. Now, the interesting thing is there's two fronts to this. Number one, he's not high up on the list. Okay, this is in regards to Fabio Paratici. I don't think Fabio Paratici is the biggest of fans. I think he's going in there with a more of a clearer mind that he's not lost with the romantic side of enjoying 5.5 years and not winning anything. He's going in there with the idea of, I want to get a new manager in that I believe is best for this club, right? The other thing, the reason why is because Pochettino would want a lot more power within the club. Paratici obviously wouldn't want to give that over. You can kind of see where that sort of sits, right? The only thing is, Paratici will find out about the ban that he got given from his time at Juventus. Does that stretch to worldwide football? And if it does that open the door more for Mauricio Pochettino's potential hiring of the new Tottenham job? Jumping in a little bit further, and this is all over social media. I mean, the sources, there's hundreds of these sources talking about it. Daniel Levy absolutely loves Pochettino. They have a great relationship still, but a lot of the board aren't keen on him. The reason as to why, they go, yes, as much as the highs were the highs, he also got sacked for a reason. He also got sacked from PSG for a reason. His last 2 jobs, he was sacked, one of them being Spurs. I think you can see as to why they're not keen on that. That sounds like they really feel like that's going backwards. We want to kick on forwards. We want a new manager with new ideas. And I'm all for that. For once, I actually agree with the board. I don't agree with them ever. This is the one time I do. We should be looking at a different face. We should be looking at a Luis Enrique. We should be looking at Spalletti. Thomas Frank at Brentford, I really like the look of. And if someone says, well, but he's not managed anyone good, well, let's be frank. Mauricio Pochettino was managing Southampton before he came to us. Brentford are absolutely flying this season. So it's the same situation. So if you don't like Thomas Frank, it's because you have a prejudice against him, because all you want is Mauricio Pochettino. You're not open to the idea of having someone else. For me, I would put Thomas Frank ahead of Mauricio Pochettino. I really would. Enrique is my guy, though. There's Enrique, and there's a massive, massive gap to the second guy. I really, really love the look of Luis Enrique. I was the person that said I really love the look of Antonio Conte when we first were interested in him before we got Nuno. Luis Enrique, for me, is, absolutely miles clear of sort of the rest of the crowd. But another name that came up, and I'll be interested to see what people think about this, is Brendan Rodgers. Now, Brendan Rodgers, like Mauricio Pochettino, he's finished second in the Premier League. He's won an FA Cup. He's won more in England than Mauricio Pochettino has. He plays very nice football. Yeah, defensively, you can be got at in a Brendan Rodgers style play. But if you want people like Pochettino, you can still get out of defence. So he's obviously been a manager of interest for Spurs. Would it be right? Would he be the guy? I'm not too sure. I'll be interested to see what people think about that. If it was Brendan Rodgers, because we went for Enrique, we didn't get him, it'd be worrying. But if they said that's the guy we want, that's top of our list, that's a different story. Because if we don't get the guy that we want, it just reminds me of Nuno, and it reminds me of an absolute chaotic fest where we don't know what we're doing. There is no plan. We're just going, right, just get him. I mean, think of Paolo, what was it? Gattuso was one of the big names last time. I mean, we had no idea what we were doing. This time, we should have an idea of what we're doing, and we should go, Enrique's our guy, right? But you should have the idea that if Enrique's not the guy, this is the other guy, right? That's what it should be. And it's not settling for plan B, it's plan A, 1A and 1B. You have an idea that Enrique's the guy, but just underneath him, that might be the guy in case Enrique's not too sure, right? We're going to need a big name. We're going to need them to sign a long-term contract, because if we want Harry Kane to stay, we've got to show that we're damn serious for once. And we haven't been serious in 15 years. We need to show this. We need proper investment into the first team club. And I think one thing I would look at is stepping away from this idea of buying young players, train them up and sell them on for profits. We need to step away from that a little bit. Clearly, Jed Spence wasn't wanted. Clearly. Ryan Sessegnon clearly isn't one of his favourites in terms of Conte, if you know what I mean. We should be looking at going, right, what do we really need? Well, Destiny Udogi's coming in summer. I think he'll be our left wing back, right? Right wing back, I really like Pedro Porro. I think it's fantastic. I really do. Romero, when he's not such a loose cannon, there's your right centre back. You need 2 centre halves. You're going to need a new keeper. You're going to need a centre mid who's got the ability to get forward with creativity, playing alongside Bentancur, because Bentancur is miles clear of Højbjerg, Skip, Sarr and Basuma. You need quality up top, and you need Son to get firing. If you can get Son firing again, this season would have been an unreal season. We're sitting in fourth. We're in the Champions League quarters. We were going all right in the FA Cup. If Son was 20% better, we would still be in the Champions League, we'd still be in the FA Cup, and we would be higher than Man United in the league. That's how good Son is, but we have really lacked that quality this season. It's scary. So, all these things being said, if you want Harry Kane to stay and you want him to retire at the club and you want him to win things at the club, as a board, we need Enoch out. We need Levy gone. We need the Muppets out of the way. We need fresh ownership. We need an owner who actually wants to win something, who's going to invest into the club to show that he wants something. Not run it as a business, run it as a club. He wants to win with something, you know? We also need to be looking at investing with top quality players who go into the first team, not people that we bring into the squad, we see how they go, we hope they become a first teamer in 2 to 3 years. No. We don't want to follow the Man United model of just buying an old superstar who's aging and not good enough. We want to buy someone who's hitting 25, 26, 27, who's absolutely quality, right? Get them in. If you could I really think, there's players in this squad who have taken a step back. We need to get rid of the dead weight as well. The players who are taking a step back and the dead weight, both gone, get them gone, take a loss, sell them for cheap, but move them on. Because if you can do that, you revitalise the squad. You give a bit of an intensity into the squad. I mean, Harry Kane said, we're lacking hunger, we're lacking ruthless hunger. And it's hard to give a squad that when you have no real born winners in the squads. Longley's probably the only one that really had any winning in him. Kulusevski, he might have won a Serie A with Juventus, but it's not a lot. Lloris has won a World Cup, but that's about it. We need players that are going to come in who have won things. Perisic has won a few things, fair enough, but we're missing something. We're missing a lot. We need to get a top quality keeper, two top quality centre halves, an unbelievable midfielder, box to box, who can create. A lot of fans are crying out for attacking midfielder. They can sit inside there. I mean, there's talks about James Maddison, but with 1 year left on his deal, they want 60 million. That's not happening. They're not reaching 60 million for him. Because I guarantee you Mason Mount's going to go for cheaper, and he's got 1 year left on his deal and he's younger. So if that's being said, then you need two centre-halves. You need a keeper. You need an attacking midfielder option that can sit in there. You need a top quality winger, because I'm not sure Kulusevski's got it at the moment. You need Richarlison to play more. You need Danjuma to play more. All these things need, and it's going to require a lot of money, but that's why you sell players. You get the wages off the bill. Reguilon goes, Ndombele goes, Brian Hill goes, Tanganga goes, maybe Longley goes back to Barca. Maybe Perisic has gone in the summer. Maybe the new manager doesn't want Perisic. All these sort of things. Lucas Moura's wages gone, by the way. All these things, get him gone. Get even more gone if you want. Maybe get Pape Matar out on loan. Give him a loan deal. Give him Sessi on a loan deal, maybe. Get these sort of players time away from the club who are playing week in, week out. Davinson Sanchez, big one. Move him on. You're not going to get a lot of money, but move him on. Get a few million, clear off the wages, take that money, take that 150 million that you get from the Premier League, take all that money that you make from concerts, the NFL, take the money that you get from Champions League being in there, take money that you get from anything else and invest it. For once, think with your heads in terms of we need a big summer clear out and investment. We have that. We have the opportunity to kick on for once. We get players that are in there that know how to win, who are top quality. If you want to be within those big boys, maybe you don't spend like the big boys, but if you are smart and you get 3 or 4 really good players worth 50 million each, maybe spend 200 million, you sell some players, you have the ability to do that, right? Without financial fair play knocking on your front door. You do that, you show Kane you're serious. You show the fans you're serious. But if you're not, then just get out of the club, Enoch. You clearly aren't. You make the same stupid mistake week in, week out, year in, year out. And the fans, I really start to hope some people start to see that it's not always a manager's fault. You can't tell me Redknapp, AVB, Mourinho, Nuno, Sherwood, Conte, all these managers, you can't tell me they're all at the fault. They're the ones that it's not worked because of them. You can't tell me that. Pochettino, by the way, add him to the list. You can't tell me that. You got to tell me the common denominator is the issue here. The common denominator being Enick and Levy. But anyway, guys, that is the end of the video. It's the end of my rant as such. Let me know what you think about, obviously, the Milan game and your thoughts about it. I mean, I was pretty annoyed last night, but you let me know. Let me know about the new manager and who you'd want it to be. Because it does obviously look like that we're going to be getting a new one. When that'll be, I'm not too sure. But let me know about the list, who you'd want. Anyway, guys, that's the end of the video. Like, comment, subscribe, bell notification, all that jazz. And I'll see you all very, very soon. Take care, lads.